ready to start.
We'd see every single birth as a win for these women. It's giving them hope. I'm now transferring from the patient's fertilised egg to the donor's fertilised egg.
I've always lived in Newcastle, very much a Geordie and proud of it. My specialty is in mitochondrial disease. So a mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So it converts the food that we eat into a usable form of energy. Mitochondrial disease is where that breaks down. If your mitochondria are faulty, the cell starts to run out of energy, which can be truly devastating for some families.
I'm Kat, married to James, got 2 daughters, aged 15 and 17. The eldest is Lily, the youngest is Poppy, and she has a condition called mitochondrial disease. It is progressive, so she's lost a lot of function and needs 24/7 care. Mitochondrial disease is a maternally inherited disease and still a disease of which there is no cure.
Having looked after patients with mitochondrial disease for about 20 years and really having very little to offer these patients, we came across the idea that maybe we could prevent the transmission. Mitochondria are passed down from mother to child. So the idea is that we take a donor woman's egg, we take out the nucleus of that egg, and we transfer in the nucleus from the parents. And that means that we'll have the nuclear DNA from the mother and the father, but the healthy mitochondria from the donor woman. And under those circumstances, we thought it was possible that we would have healthy babies with no risk of having mitochondrial disease. Having ideas is fine. To be able to actually make this really happen, you need support and funding. And that's where the Wellcome Trust came in. In 2011, we went for an interview at the Wellcome Trust. And I remember coming out of it thinking, I'm not sure. And then later that night, the chief executive of Wellcome gave me a ring and said, well, we're not going to give you the grant. We're going to make you a Wellcome Centre. And it was totally out of the blue. It was totally transformational, because not only did that give us enough money to do the work, but it also gave us access to all the brilliant people at Wellcome who could help us with all other aspects, whether it be in relationship to the ethics or the policy engagement.
Look at those. Cheeky face. To make mitochondrial donations available to families, the law needed to be changed. We were involved in that via the Lily Foundation, who are the charity that support families with mitochondrial disease. They were part of a wider working group, along with the scientists, experts, Wellcome, who was an instrumental partner in pushing this whole thing through. That's actually pops in the Houses of Parliament.
I remember that.
We actually wrote to our local MP, who happened to be Jane Ellison, the Member of Parliament responsible for this bill.
I remember meeting Doug and the rest of the team and being so impressed by them. I mean, obviously, their huge brains and the brilliant science they'd done, but also their humanity and their sense of mission.
This is a bold step for Parliament to take, but it is a considered and informed step. And for the many families affected, this is light at the end of a very dark tunnel. And I commend these regulations to the House.
The most extraordinary moment was actually when they announced the results in Parliament. I knew the gallery was full of families, and I think some of the scientists and other people who've been involved in this long journey to this moment.
Order! Order!
The eyes to the right, 382. The nose to the left, 128.
It really is a moment in history and a kind of once-in-a-lifetime moment to be part of something where law is changed for the sake of medical advancement.
One of the most inspiring things about this, there's a lot of people working together towards a common goal.
I have the donor and the patient's fertilised eggs in the dish and I'm ready to start the procedure. People liken it to playing a computer games with joysticks. We have the microscope that have what we call micromanipulators, and attached to those we put very, very fine pipettes, and they allow us to do the biopsy procedure. So that's the first part done. The pronuclei have been removed from the donor fertilised egg. The donors come from the local area. These are women that just altruistically want to donate their eggs to help another couple. I'm now transferring from the patient's fertilised egg to the donor's fertilised egg. You're always thinking about the patient because you're looking at the embryos. Is it going to be good news? Is it going to be bad news? That's the transfer complete. When it is good news, you know, you can feel the warmth in the room. There are now 8 babies born that have a very little lifetime risk of developing the disease. And if it hadn't been for the technique, those families couldn't have been created. In terms of young people that know they've actually got mitochondrial DNA disease, it gives them another reproductive option.
For families like ours, where there are daughters who may pass on that disease, it's really reassuring to know that there is an option and there is choice.
To have gone through the 25 years it took from the idea through to fruition and us able to report 8 babies, it's just wonderful.
You sort of pinch yourself to think we've finally got to this stage. It's absolutely amazing to think that we've kind of spearheaded this and that there are other countries like Australia now following suit.
So mitochondrial donation, in terms of breaking that inheritance cycle, it's fantastic. What I guess is still an absolute critical piece of work is research around treatments and cure for those living with mitochondrial disease now.
I'm still working with others to try and find cures for mitochondrial disease. I spent 45 years of my life working on it. It's something that I'm still trying to help in whatever way that I can.